Welcome to New Game Plus, where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game, and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
We're a retro gaming podcast. My name's Nolan.
And this, did I not say that?
No.
You messed it up. I'm glad
really
Nolan
mess it
threw
up
you under
again?
the bus. Yeah.
Dang.
Everybody's going to judge you. Try it one more time from the top.
No, we're good. This is episode
Okay.
23. If you're hopping in right now, you're just going to have to figure out what this podcast is along the way. If you've been with us for any period of time, you should probably know by now that we're a retro gaming podcast where we take an old game and we play it for 7 days, and then we get together and we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
And you're a big dork.
We do need to welcome all of our new visitors because, viewers. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We need to welcome all of our new viewers because we have had an influx of listeners this week, in large part thanks to our previous guest, DanQ8000.
Yeah, which shout out. Thanks for hanging out with us. It was lots of fun. And I'm glad some of his viewers are now listening to the podcast. We appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome, children.
Nolan's creepy.
Thank you for those of you that listened to the episode with Dan Q and then decided to stick around and listen to some more. I hope we don't disappoint you. At the beginning of our podcast, I typically like to ask my fellow interlocutors some very important soul-searching questions so you guys can get to know us a little bit better. Nolan, Kenny, what's the most beautiful place that you've ever visited? What is the location that you've seen with your own two eyes and it has been spectacular? It might have been something in the mountains, it might have been a canyon, it might have been, I don't know, a really big tree, but what is the most beautiful place you've ever visited?
Six Flags.
It's not even pretty.
That's such a dumb answer.
Hey, have you ever been?
Yes!
Well, then you know what I mean.
Six Flags, it's great. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend. Nolan actually does the dance, the Six Flags dance, like the old guy, because he likes it so much.
Kenny?
There's lots of really, really cool places. I've got a real fondness for southern Colorado. Some of the mountains up there are just beautiful. We camped in that area as kids quite a bit, and just being out in nature pretty much anywhere, but especially somewhere with mountains and trees always just sort of inspires awe in my brain.
Agreed. Nolan, are you sticking with Six Flags?
Why wouldn't I?
Okay, you stick with Six Flags.
What about you, Dustin?
My wife and I actually got to go to Chichen Itza in down there, I guess in Mexico, or near Mexico at least. But and like it's this really notorious place. It was built by the Mayans prior to like 900 AD, and they've got these kind of temples there, and they've got a lot of infrastructure that's still left from those early days, and it is beautiful. And as Kenny said about the mountains, it's awe-inspiring and ancient and old and awesome. Either of you guys have any desires to like someday see the pyramids or anything like that?
Not the pyramids. I'll go to outer space, though.
Okay, yeah, very similar. I've always been intrigued by the ancient wonders of the world, and the only one out of the 7 that's still in existence is the Great Pyramid of Giza, and so that's why I asked about that, and something beautiful that a lot of people travel to go see. But that's the only one that's still left out of those world wonders, but not in the retro game Age of Empires 2, because that has all the world wonders still intact, and it just so happens to be our game of the week.
Okay, I'll give you 6 of 10 on the segue for trying real hard.
Dun, 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 dun.
Nolan's going to be thinking about Six Flags all morning. Oh, why is that so funny to me? Overview. Here's a little bit about it. Age of Empires 2 is a real-time strategy game that came out in the late 90s on PC. At the time was published by Microsoft, though they weren't the ones that weren't the studio that developed it, and is sort of classic real-time strategy. You, as the name implies, are an ancient civilization, and you are collecting resources from the world, wood and stone and gold and food, and using those resources to develop your civilization and war against other civilizations, or find ancient relics, or build world wonders, and win the game. It's probably one that a lot of people are familiar with because it was a very, very popular game for any of our gamers who are old enough to have been around in the late 90s, which is a weird thing to say. It's kind of a straightforward game. Like, I don't know what, though it's great, I don't know what was unique about it enough to point out.
Well, you've got single player and you got multiplayer mode,
Sure.
which those are dynamically different, set in the same place, but obviously in single player it's kind of more campaign. You've got different stories you can do in different eras and different civilizations, but in multiplayer you play either against AI or against other people or a combination of both. And I mean, like you said, but in so many words, the purpose, like your task is to create a thriving civilization that can pretty much take over and dominate other civilizations. That's kind of, so you can win, I guess, in different fashions and depending on the game settings. But for the most part, I think your task is to conquer other civilizations.
Well, I mean, it's to win the game. It's absolutely valid to do it without destroying everyone else.
But we know that's not how it works.
I mean, yeah, like you could sit there, you could build up your civilization and then make treaties with everybody and happily ever after.
Are you guys not wonder builders? Like, you can win other ways.
I play
No.
Genghis Khan, dude. I play lore. Okay?
Yeah, like you role play this game.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know,
I don't have
sometimes-
time to make alliances like that. You
Right.
join me
I'm
or
the
you're dead.
space victory and civilization guy. I'm the wonder victory and Age of Empires 2 guy. I don't mind going to war, but I'm more likely to build walls and defend myself than attack you.
Nolan is the rape and pillage guy.
Yeah.
He is.
But okay, Kenny, on that note, so some of our viewers have been around for a little bit or they've caught up on some of our episodes. We have played Civilization 2 in this podcast. How is this game different and why is it way better? Kenny, go.
Oh, well, it's...
Why is it?
I'm not going to say it's way better because I love Civilization 2, but you guys didn't as much, so that's fair. It's a completely different kind of game. They're both, you're building a civilization, but one, it's sort of... I guess the real difference is that one is real-time strategy versus turn-based strategy. One is more like
True, yeah.
city development, and you're kind of building this like empire on a empire scale and getting technology and sort of, doing that kind of thing.
And you can take your time, kind of.
Exactly. Whereas this one moves quick. Like, you jump in and you start with a couple villagers. Maybe you got some guy villagers, maybe you got some girl villagers. Doesn't matter. See, this game was way ahead of its time. They go out, gather resources, and then you just take those resources and probably turn them into weapons and fight. And it's not turn-based, so you got to be quick and on your toes and clicking lots of buttons.
Yeah, and on that note, I really like turn-based rather than real-time, just because I prefer to take my time and plan out my next turn. And
Yeah,
my
it's less
strategy. So
stressful, Being able to
it's
just
a little less stressful.
walk away and get a cup of coffee in the middle is great.
And I like to be able to take my time. So I've never been huge on real time. I suck at StarCraft. I don't even try to play it. But this game, I loved the real time aspect of it. It felt so fun for some reason.
There are 13 playable civilizations in the core game. I think in some of the DLC and added content later, it adds some civilizations, but in the core game there's 13 civilizations, and so that's similar to Civilization 2 in that there's multiple civilizations, and I guess similar in the same vein is that with these civilizations you've got strengths and weaknesses. Some are better bowmen, some are faster builders, some are just better in different ways, and
some are kind of
weaker.
Worthless.
Yeah, probably, but they've all got their strengths, and with
Absolutely.
And with the DLC and the patches and everything like that, I think they really try to balance a lot of those out. So you don't just have one or two civilizations that are, OP or way too strong. You've got many.
No, but
to
you have
choose
some that
from.
are way cooler than all the others.
Yeah, definitely, but obviously that's opinion based.
That's your opinion.
I think you think you're the funniest person ever.
I absolutely do. If I didn't laugh at myself, nobody would.
Oh goodness. Let me clarify one more time the few different ways that you can actually win. As I said, that the game is primarily won through military conquest. Kenny would disagree with me because you can also win, if the game setting is set this way, by constructing a special building known as a wonder and keeping it standing for a certain amount of time. But when you do that, it warns all the other players that you've built that, and then a countdown starts on everyone's screen. So you're definitely going to get rushed, and if you're not well protected, then you're going to get wiped out. Or you can also win by obtaining control of all the relics on the map for a certain amount of time. And these are just like little devices that need to be picked up by the priest and put into your, it's not called a church building, but into your chapel and protected. Similar vein to the World Wonder.
Yeah, and sometimes that, like bringing a holy relic can like get another, well, at least in campaign, get another like civilization to join you, because that was one of the objectives that I had.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so there are many different ways to enjoy the game, from your many different civilizations to choose from your different maps to choose, and your different game styles and winning tasks to choose from.
You mentioned 3 ways of winning, but there is a 4th way that's super important.
Dying out?
No, bust out the cheat codes. This is one of those classic games that I remember playing more with cheat codes as a kid than without.
Well, what's a cheat code?
Oh, there's all kinds of cheat codes. You could give yourself more resources. You could make your buildings build automatically. Boring. You could summon a car that shoots lasers. There were all kinds of crazy things.
You're bringing back memories.
There was a laser firing car. Like I don't even like, these are all just things I'm remembering from like, playthroughs back in the day. Obviously, like in a good multiplayer game, you wouldn't pull out cheats, but when you're playing single player, especially when you weren't actually good at the game, that was how you'd win.
Gameplay.
So to actually go about and win in a kind of specific process is what you do as soon as the game starts. You have a town center, and you've got, I think, 3 or so civilians, or they're not called civilians, are they? They're called villagers. And then you've got a scout. And so you will typically send your scout out to begin removing the mist, the darkness from your map, so that you can see where other civilizations are and where resources are, and you'll immediately put your villagers to work. And so your 2 primary resources at first are your food and your water. Your food will be either these berry bushes that are typically near the town center, or you'll usually come across sheep that are somewhere near your town center, and you can send them to your town center, and then you can begin killing them and taking their meat for food. Or
other wild game. There's other animals besides sheep.
But early on, they'll most likely kill you unless you send multiple of your villagers after them. You get wood, on the other hand, by chopping down trees. As simple as that. And so that's what you do at first. Your town center can produce more villagers to continue using them for different purposes. Your villagers are the bedrock. Like, you've got to have villagers to create anything. They are your builders. They are your foragers. They are the ones that are going to create an economy so that you can actually survive and thrive and create an army to protect and to attack.
And build your wonder so you can actually win the game.
No one does that. And then later there's actually 2 other resources that you invest in when you progress a couple of ages, and that is stone and gold. Yeah. So you've got different ages that you go through, and it's kind of a race, because you don't battle each other right away. You can't even have an army until, I think, the 2nd age, guys, maybe the 3rd age even? 2nd age?
Feudal age.
Yeah, okay, so 2nd age.
You can get stuff early, but they're real weak.
Well, no, you can't build a barracks or any attacking force until feudal age. So you've got your different ages. You've got Dark Age, and that's where everyone starts. And then once you meet some requirements, you can progress to the Feudal Age, and then that is followed by the Castle Age, which then culminates at the Imperial Age.
You don't ever get to build spaceships, so that's another way this one's different than Civilization 2.
And to advance to like the next age, sometimes it's like you have to build a certain structure, like building structure, or get a certain resource, and it will like advance you to the next age, and then you have access to new units and new buildings and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and upgrades, like you'll upgrade your buildings, you'll upgrade your units, you'll upgrade the time that things are produced. So you've got all these things that are working, from your barracks and your archery range to your university to your multiple town centers that are producing even more. You've got to have houses to have enough space for your units. Eventually, you can build a castle and you can build walls. I mean, it gets very like it is gradual, which is nice, but it's not a game that you can play slow, especially against skilled players or AI. Like it's a game that's definitely fast paced.
Absolutely. But saying it's fast paced, it's also a long game compared to my expectations, or a lot of real-time strategy that are fairly quick and fast paced. In my mind, you sit down to play and you may be playing for quite a while.
Yeah, but that's true with Civilization, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm saying for real-time strategy specifically, it tends to err on the longer side. And I think maybe early on that was often the case. I think sort of shorter, more frantic kind of pace has sort of picked up over time.
Yeah.
But like this is a game that you could play one game for a couple hours easy.
Yeah. And with most real-time strategies that I know of, it's kind of your skirmishes are kind of a rock paper scissors setup, right? So like one unit is stronger than another, but it's weaker than another, and so you've got different kinds of cavalry, different kinds of infantry, and different kinds of like ranged units, and then you've got each civilization has a unique unit that they produce from their castle and that they can upgrade from their castle. And so for me, I'll just kind of share my experience. I was actually able to play with one of our viewers this week. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah, me and Antonin sat down and we got to play.
For real?
That's awesome.
You should have let me know. I'd have played with you guys.
We didn't want you to. We played no, just kidding.
I wonder
totally
why.
Would have invited you. I think that you were busy hanging out with real life people, which is awesome. But we sat down and played a game. He hadn't played for years. I hadn't played for years. Well, I'd played earlier in the week just to get a feel of it again. We sat down to play, and I chose the Aztecs. I did that because my friend Jared, who actually wrote in, and we'll read something that he wrote here at the end, but he did a strategy against me multiple times when I was younger, and he was teaching me how to play this game. Anyways, so I chose Aztec and kind of rushed through the ages as quickly as possible, rushed to the Imperial Age, and then I was able to build some castles, or build a castle, and I mass produced these Jaguar warriors, which is the unique unit for the Aztecs, and completely deadly.
They might as well actually be Jaguars.
Possibly so. And then I threw in some archers with them to cover up their weakness. And then I built 2 trebuchets to be able to take down walls and buildings. And we played for a little bit. And
did you end up winning?
Yeah, about an hour in probably. There had been a few fights. We both had an AI partner. He had an AI partner. I had one. And
that's kind of fun.
Every time my AI partner went to go attack his AI partner, it told me, hey, I'm going to attack. So I would send a few over there to help attack the AI. But about an hour in, I think I wasn't counting the time. I sent my Jaguar warriors with my trebuchets and my archers up and took out his wall and then his castle and his town center and different. And we fought for a little bit, but
so you cost us a viewer.
Yeah, Antonin's
he's
done. No, it was very.
No, that's super.
It was
fun.
still fun for both of us. Like, and it brings back so many memories. And definitely, if we were to play a second round after that, then it would be up for grabs for sure.
Did you find you were pretty terrible at this game? Like, I used to be okay at it, never great, but like it had been long enough that it felt really foreign to me.
Yeah, so I've never been good at real-time strategies, but when you win a game, it makes you feel like you're invincible.
Oh yeah, you're like, man, I made great decisions in that one.
Right, I feel like I'm awesome, but then if I were to play, anyone that is, somewhat capable, they would completely wreck me, or destroy me. And I'm not. That sounded as though Antonin wasn't capable, and that's not what I meant. But Antonin was really good. We were both just rusty and kind of just both trying to figure our way through there. Like I said, our first major battle happened after an hour into the game, and I think most people are going like there's different strategies, but I've been taken out at the 30-minute mark before, you know?
Yeah,
for sure.
just by someone rushing you.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who would we play games like this feel obligated to upgrade every single possible upgrade resource?
I think I don't know. I feel that way too to some degree, but I've also read. I mean, you know me. I went and read tips and hints and watched a video of how to play before I opened up the game again, and they suggested that there's no poor upgrade. I don't know
Really?
how much, you know.
If you
that is
don't plan
legitimate.
on building archers, like you don't even build an archer
sure.
range, and you're upgrading your archer's armor, you just have a sickness.
Yeah, but you probably want at least some of each kind of unit, you know?
Oh, that's fair. And that same completionist attitude really makes me end up building at least one of every building and everything. It's just not a very sound like strategy for winning.
That's a trap I always like fall into when I'm playing games like this. About the upgrades, I'll you know, it's more like a town simulator to me, and then I'm starting to get attacked, and I'm like, stop! I'm trying to do something here, and
I have things to
like,
build.
the army's like really crappy. I'm like, man, I suck at these games.
Right. Kenny, did you tell us what civilization you picked? Because I said Aztecs, and Nolan, you mentioned that you were
I was
with
the
Genghis
Mongols.
Khan, Mongols. So, Kenny?
Yeah, I played sort of randomly. I let the computer randomly choose civilizations for me, and so I ended up playing a good amount of the Franks. But like classically in this game, I know no one knows or cares. Classically in this game, I like playing the Britons.
Yeah, they're
The,
pretty standard class.
The ranged units are real nice and strong, and you know
Don't they have long bowmen or something like that?
they
Yeah,
do.
I remember that being a pretty awesome archer class.
Mongols have their unique unit is like this mounted archer, like a horseback archer
Oh, that's
that shoots really fast. And
You chose to play as them?
as the Mongols, yeah, I did.
Yeah. So you really weren't kidding on the game.
No, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going Genghis. And like, I think each civilization has like overall like advantage or like a specific trait. Like I looked it up. The Mongols' bonus is that cavalry archers fire 20% faster.
Yeah, they each have a strength and you know somewhat of a weakness as well. I'm not sure what the Aztecs were. I think it may have been an increase. It's something with the infantry though. It's something like you know, your
Right.
ground units have either a stronger attack or they're faster on ground or something like that, I believe.
And see, that's cool to learn because then it's like experienced players of this game who've been playing for years, I'm sure know all of these.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's cool to like,
absolutely.
you'll know, okay, the Mongols are going to have a strength in archery, so I need to come up with some sort of defense. So I think that's a cool layer to add when you're like considering strategy and who you're playing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it is. A bit harder as a game to balance, I think, but always a really enjoyable game design choice in my mind, you know, because it's lots of replayability and lots of, you know, that you pick this and I pick this kind of thing and play into your strength.
Aged.
Like, this game has stood the test of time. I have always heard about this game. There was never like a lull where I was, you know, someone said Age of Empires 2 and I was like, I haven't heard of that in a while. People have been playing this game for a long time, and rightly so. I mean, this was one of the first times I've played it. I've played it before, but like for extensively was this was one of the few times I've done it, and I can definitely see the appeal to like wanting to always go back to this strategy game because, like I said, real-time strategies are not my strengths, but this game is just really fun, and like I can do poorly and it's still fun to me. The graphics are fun to me. I know that some people complain about like the units looking gross or they don't really look like much of anything, but when you
They're a little boring, but
yeah
they function and kill things.
yeah I was gonna say I think they function really well, like the way, like just the animations, I guess, and then you have a whole map to consider, so you know that's not gonna bother me. But I think the game plays really smooth as well. So I think this game aged great.
With the HD remake, I think that it's a masterpiece. And look, I'm not even good at this game, and I see so much worth in it. Like, real-time strategy, along the same vein as you, Nolan, is not my strength. It's not what I'm good at. I'm not qualified for it. I would much rather I would just like to build a civilization at my pace, make treaties, and not have war. Like, just try to create a beautiful civilization there.
Yeah.
That's not possible. And so I think that it is accessible for newcomers. I think it's a steep learning curve to be good, but I think that it gradually moves you through the steps of trying to figure out the game that it's accessible. I would encourage someone who's coming into it maybe for the first time or the first time in a long time, don't do the tutorial. I think it takes too long to teach you too little. I think the best thing to do would be to jump into a match against an AI, make it easy if you need to, or very easy if that's even an option, and then just kind of figure out the game on your own. I think it's aged exceptionally well.
I think I'm going to let you go, Kenny. But I'm a Kanye West real quick. I also think a big reason why this game has always been not in the spotlight, but hasn't died out at least, is due in part to the community. And like before this HD remake came out, there have been like graphical mods and gameplay mods and all kinds of like stuff that people have created for the game and just kept it alive. It's one of those community-based games, I think, that have really held a strong community and has thrived, and then just added to replayability and just creativeness of the game.
Right.
All right, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, you guys aren't wrong. It's aged well. The fact anytime a game is cared enough about for someone to want to go back and like remonetize it by cleaning up the visuals and yet still keeping the main gameplay intact, not feeling like they need to tweak much.
Right. Something went right.
That says a lot about the popularity and longevity of the game. There's things you could, argue could be better relative to, modern real-time strategy games. Again, it's a little long to sort of sit down and expect to play a whole session. But it's all minor complaints. It really is just a classic. It's one of those, I'm kind of with you guys, like, I played it as a kid and had no idea, and then played it growing up because some friends did and have memories of that, and then during, like, college days of, like, getting together occasionally with groups of people and doing the kind of LAN gaming thing, it was one that often would work into the rotation. It's one of those almost genre-defining games that at the time, like, it didn't feel that special. It was just sort of, hey, this is a game I'm playing, but it's really, really endured.
The final shell shock.
Nolan, would you give it your New Game Plus status?
Absolutely. I'll just add with that, I find myself wishing that I was around this age, kind of, when it came out or a little after, so that I could have done the whole like LAN aspect of it with my friends. Like, I could see myself just enjoying this game so much, playing at a friend's house.
Hours of fun, for sure.
So yeah, I would definitely give this my New Game Plus seal. Play the game. It's on Steam. They have the HD version. Or if you like the original, you can just buy the original off Amazon or something. So. And
the Steam version regularly goes on sale. I'm pretty sure I got it for like $2,
Yeah, it's $20, but like Dustin said, they'll do sales. Like, I'm waiting on it to go on sale. I don't have it on Steam, but I'm definitely going to grab it so I can play with the guys. I'm going to play this game more than just this week.
Yeah, it's fun enough again. I'm for sure giving it the New Game Plus status. And I'm with Nolan. Like, it's one that we ought to play. I'll be a little jealous of Antonin and say, Dustin, you're holding out on us. Let's play this game sometime. That's how good it is worth, like, outside of New Game Plus, playtime.
Yeah, I really think this is one of my easiest decisions yet. Like, I would absolutely, easily give it my New Game Plus status. I think it's NGP approved, and we've dialogued and diatribed over why that is so. And now we've got some interesting reads from some viewers. We had kind of a lot of feedback. I mean, as goes the game, as goes the feedback.
It's not surprising,
right.
Yeah.
And so Eric sent us a message to our New Game Plus Facebook, actually, and he said, this is the game that started my enjoyment of the RTS genre. I always found it more enjoyable to sit back and create a mighty empire with layers of walls and many guard towers than trying to quickly rid the map of computer players. I feel you. One of my all-time favorite game memories was a time when the computer didn't share my same enthusiasm as it attacked me quick into the game. I was down to one man and a boat, and I nearly escaped to an unmanned island and built up a massive army and ended up beating the computer when the resources were just about dried up. That victory was sweet.
What a game.
Oh, that's awesome.
What a game that you can do that.
Right, that's always frustrating tactically when you're playing against other people because it drags out a 3-hour game to be 6 hours because some of the maps are so large that to find that other, that one straggler that is rebuilding somewhere in a remote corner can be difficult. I guess that's valid, and that's something that, I don't know, maybe Kenny would do. I've done it. I've done it before, but I think the right quote unquote thing to do is when you are down and when you're getting beaten that you secede and you allow them to have it, which some of you might say never, over my dead body.
That's how you lose a civilization.
You GG and exit.
Yeah, well, you GG and you say, we'll play again next time. You definitely trumped me in this one. Speaking of Trump, who are y'all voting for?
Oh, that's the worst conversation. I wish I wasn't that guy, but I am. I know we're not talking
a Trump guy?
StarCraft this week, but we are talking a real-time strategy game, and the StarCraft equivalent is just like if you get rushed early and you were playing as Terran, you would just lift off your base. It literally would go into the air, and it wasn't uncommon to just do that and then sort of make somebody develop quite a bit to come and kill you just to frustrate the fact that they played aggressively early and you weren't happy with them. It's rude.
Yeah.
But I've been that guy before.
So my friend Jared that taught me how to play this game, that convinced me years and years ago to download it to my computer before it came out on HD. So this was after this was after you were able to play it online servers. Like the AOE2 server had gone down, and so to play it you had to.
It was already an old game, but you had to sit down and connect your computer.
Oh yeah, you had to rig a way to play it, and so I would go to his house and we would make this crazy contraption over LAN at his house, and I would play him regularly. Always I would get worked. I would sometimes play against him and his wife, and we would all be solo, but his wife would be a civilization that built these tons of elephants, these attacking elephants. And he would do that strategy that I've already mentioned, tons of Jaguar warriors, and I'd be building my first castle, and they would come and completely trounce me. It was not even a competition. But he wrote in and he said this, Age of Empires 2 was the first PC game that I ever played online, and it got me addicted to annihilating another person, and it was the best feeling in the world.
Ever since then, he's been finding games where you can just destroy someone.
Yeah, he said it is by far the best RTS ever.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It is. We got one other message from Antonin that is just so cool, and it's somewhat lengthy. Just give me a moment and I'll read it and then we can respond. My earliest gaming experiences are on a PC, almost exclusively. I think the first console I got my hands on was my friend's Game Boy Color, which he bought for Pokemon, and that was in '98. Partly the reason why all of us had PCs and not consoles was that I grew up in a post-communist country. Pre-91, no one played consoles. Anyways, when I played AoE and AoE 2, it was an interesting time for me because I didn't speak any English. I got around the entire game without knowing what any of the words meant, and I just learned along the way. With AoE 2, I got to pick up interesting vocabulary like trebuchet and wall, gate, Bronze Age, village, and wonder. As you can imagine, imagine, when I got to the US history class wasn't as difficult as I feared it would be. Probably due to my lack of English reading skills, I never played campaigns, so I pretty much spent days upon days playing with my brother random battles. I do remember that when I started to get into the language, I ventured back into the campaign mode, but I didn't enjoy it that much. The appeal of the game was largely playing through various civilizations and figuring out what their strengths were and how you would capitalize on them. Oh, and finding out what a civilization's wonder was, if you kept the game up long enough. I'm excited to replay it in HD mode, and I'm even more excited to find out that you could play it online.
That's really cool. Like, it's definitely one of those classic games that I think a lot of people have old memories of, and especially that, like, playing the game before he even could understand it.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that speaks
crazy.
a lot to how well the interface was designed, and, you know, and I'm not surprised that he didn't play campaign. Let's be real. Real-time strategy doesn't lend itself to that. It's
Sure.
almost like first-person shooter. Like, you play real-time strategy to play the multiplayer.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, they put campaigns in, and sometimes they're fun, and, you know, they can be enjoyable. But in my mind, they're kind of peripheral.
I liked the campaign, the Mongols campaign, but you're right. You're gonna play multiplayer. No one's going to be like wanting to play the game just to stick to single player. Even if it's just AI, you're gonna want to explore the multiplayer of this game because that's where it shines.
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome that he learned English by playing
That's
Age
crazy.
of Empires 2, you know? Or at
Yeah.
least learned some reading
Some of
skills
it
and
had some familiarity.
words.
Nah, video
that's
games
awesome.
are a waste of time. They make you dumber.
Right. They warp your brain and they cause people to kill people.
Yeah.
Or they're great learning, devices to help us learn languages, to help us learn cultures, and to help us learn who's best with a longbow.
Nah.
I actually murdered a sheep with plots to let that begin world domination this week.
IRL.
Yeah, IRL in real life because of this game. And so, it's dangerous.
You got a pity laugh from Nolan. He didn't mean that at all. I could tell. It was like,
It's just reflex at this point. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm going to randomly select our new game for the week. We've got a list called the Retro Master List, and many of our viewers have contributed to it. It is incomplete, but we would love to add some of your favorite retro games to that list. The only stipulation, it's got to be older than 15 years old of age, and then we will add it. And at some time we might possibly play it. We've got our list here, and I'm going to randomly select the next game that we're going to be playing for the upcoming episode. Our new Game Plus new game is Dragon Warrior.
Yes.
This is one of the earliest RPGs, is that correct?
It is. This is one that I will actually pull out my NES for
Nice.
and play it on the original cartridge.
Is this
One of
what
the
you
few
played
games I own?
in my room at college?
This is the game that sort of put me onto RPGs as a kid, introduced me eventually to the Final Fantasy series, so that one's separate, but just like this was my introduction to that genre. So we'll talk about that next week, but this will be a really fun one to play.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my
Nolan
God.
would rather go to Six Flags than play a game this week. I'm sorry.
I'm going to kill myself having to edit this podcast.
You are.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm sorry if it's not what you wanted.
We're really sorry. We'll quit.
No, we hope you had a good workout, or you arrived safely at your destination, or we didn't distract you too bad from work, or wherever you are listening to this. Thank you. And please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, SoundCloud, whatever you would like to subscribe to us on, and you will get the episode as soon as it is ready. That's every Monday, early Monday morning, possibly even late Sunday night. Just if you subscribe, you're going to get those. If you rate and review us on those different providers as well, that would help us significantly. Please continue to connect with us throughout the week. We got a lot of interaction this week through Twitter, through email, even through our Facebook, and we thoroughly enjoy that anytime we get that. Guys, any final words?
No, but let's play some Age of Empires sometime.
Those were some words.
So, yep.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. I'm still Dustin.
I'm Kenny. Nolan's at Six Flags.
And this has been
New Game Plus.
Woo!